Welcome back. You're still tuned in to News and Views with myself, Salalo Makudi. The time is 8:38 Central African Time. And we're going to be switching gears now to a very, very important topic. We'll be diving into a story that may mark another turning point in South Africa's political landscape at the 5th National General Council of the ANC, held in the East Rand, I think in Boksburg. They started yesterday and it'll be going on until the 11th of December, Thursday. Senior party leadership laid bare a stark reality. For the first time in decades, the ANC seems to be acknowledging that its support base is eroding. The midterm review presented at the NGC by President Cyril Ramaphosa traces the decline back to 2016, citing successive losses of major metros, a surge in hung councils, and the party's loss of an outright parliamentary majority in the previous general elections. Now, with the local government elections on the horizon next year, December 2026, if I'm not mistaken, and an evolving kind of coalition government ecosystem, what does this all mean for the future of the ANC and the country? And to help us unpack the implications thereof, we're joined by political analyst Hlumelo Xaba. Hlumelo, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Salam Media. Always a pleasure having you on air.
Good morning to you, Salelo, and to the viewers, and thank you very much for having me.
Pleasure's all ours, and I think we'll jump right into it. Hlumelo, when you look at the ANC's own diagnosis of this decline, they're saying it's stretching back to 2016. What stands out the most for you as, let's say, the most significant political admission coming from that NGC that's being held in Boksburg currently?
Well, for me, I think what was a bit alarming to me is the fact that they know what the problem has been, considering the fact that they said their decline has been happening over a 10-year period now, and the fact that they didn't really do anything or didn't really have any intervention measures to counter that decline. So I think that the ANC knows what the problems are within their organization. However, the willingness and the ability to actually solve those problems is what seems to be a challenge to them. I think that the ANC now has just reached a point whereby it does not really have the ability or the capability anymore to actually counter some of the challenges that they are facing and to actually ensure that they direct their party towards a trajectory that is going to be fit.
All right, we seem to have lost Hlumelo there for a moment. I think it's issues of connection, but yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting conversation as we set to get Hlumelo back on air. But yeah, I'm sure you were watching that ANC NGC that's currently happening in Boksburg. And it was really, really interesting listening to the secretary of the party, the SG Balula, who almost moved away from his usual defensive posture when it comes to ANC criticism. I think he was delivering the party's midterm report, and he was saying that the party's decline, as I mentioned, is, and I quote, long-standing rather than a sudden rupture. And according to Mbalula's analysis in his midterm report, the review between the party's 2022 and 2027 National Elective Conference, the ANC decline dates back to 2016, and it'll be interesting how they bounce back from that setback. But Hlumelo, before we lost you there, you're still talking about the ANC knowing and understanding just internally how much the party is in disarray, and whether or not they have the political know-how and the willingness to get it back to where they probably want it to be. Hlumelo, are you
Like
there?
to take note of is the fact that the ANC now, just like any other liberation movement, has reached a point where it is actually heading towards a downward spiral. You will know that other liberation movements in neighboring countries like ZANU-PF as well as Frelimo in Mozambique have not been, I would say, popular political as they are, mainly because of how they have not been able to push a message of, or rather, galvanizing themselves or turning themselves into contemporary political organizations. But the old liberation rhetoric, which I believe in the current generation is not so popular, is what has at times let them down. Because you still listen to when I listened to President Ramaphosa speaking yesterday, you could hear that he was just trying to juxtapose what the ANC has done over the past 31 years, in that for instance, it juxtaposed how we don't have a lot of mud houses in South Africa like we used to before. So that liberation rhetoric is something that the ANC, even other liberation movements like I mentioned, ZANU-PF in Zimbabwe, still use in order to try and garner support. I think what the ANC should have done is to actually try and, in a way, contextualize themselves as as a contemporary political organization in a developing country like South Africa. So I think that's one of the failures that they've actually got them to where they are now.
And I think it's interesting that you speak on that, because it sparks a really important question. Because as I was listening to that political report, there was a point where Philemon Balula also mentioned that voters are no longer captive and are actively shopping around for other political parties. What does that tell us about how the ANC has lost its historic emotional connection with the majority of Black South Africans, its core support base, similar to the rest of the other liberation movements from different parts of the continent?
Well, honestly speaking, Salailo, I think that one of the things that I've come to observe is that the decline of the ANC is not leading to the emergence.
All right. Right. We seem to be struggling there a bit of connection with Hlumelo. Okay, we have Hlumelo back. Hlumelo, as you were. All right, I think we're going to take a quick break. We're still trying to get Hlumelo back on air. I think there's some issues with connection. But yeah, let's see if we can fix it, and then after the short break.
At Sapphire Global, your financial partner. If you are looking for Islamic Sharia and ethical financial products, look no further. Sapphire Global offers a wide range of financial service offerings, from short-term to life and investments. A full-service center with all financial requirements under one brand. Our highly skilled and experienced consultants are ready to help protect your financial future. Contact us on 041 001 0184 or visit our website on www.sapphireglobalfs.com. Sapphire Global is an authorized financial services provider.
There are over 200 million orphans globally. We can't help all of them, but what if we each helped just one? The Al Imdad Foundation now gives you an opportunity to help just one orphan from Syria or Palestine. For just 500 Rand per month, you can help safeguard the dignity of an orphan by assisting them with basic needs such as food, clothing, shelter, medical care, and attention. Our orphan sponsorship program allows you to track the progress of your orphan through regular feedback. Make a difference in the life of an orphan today. Visit alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
Welcome back. Still tuned in to News and Views with myself, Hlumelo Xaba. We're still looking at the ANC's NGC and some of the key, I think, moments that we can read coming out of the ANC, essentially self-reflecting, trying to self-recorrect, doing an analysis of the party in the last 10 years. I think the NGC happens every 5 years before the elective conference, but there was no elective conference, I think, before 2020. 2022 because of COVID. So they are in Boksburg for the first time in 10 years for an NGC, and we are analyzing what came out of that with political analyst Hlumelo Xaba. Hlumelo, thank you so much for staying with us. I know we have some issues with connection, but we're going to try to wrap it up because we're running out of time. In your view, if you can just summarize the state of the ANC right now, looking back at the previous elections, and how they kind of internalized that loss and the formation of the GNU, and looking ahead, some of the succession plans they might have. How would you encapsulate the moment that they're in right now?
Well, I think I'll firstly start by going back to what I said initially, that the ANC is actually aware of some of the challenges that they are facing. And you could hear from President Ramaphosa's political overview yesterday, where he actually did allude to the fact that the emergence of the MK party is part of the rationale behind their poor electoral performance last year. But not only that, there's also a huge public distrust and also voter apathy towards the ANC, which emanate from lack of service delivery, as well as some of the social ills such as inequality and unemployment, which are things that are attributed to the ANC's years in government since 1994. So I think all of this, if you can now look at it, actually means that the ANC is on a downward trajectory, like I did mention. And what is quite concerning for me is the fact that the ANC does know where their challenges are. However, the question should be asking is, what have they done in order for them to ameliorate that situation, and in order for them to actually get themselves out of the woods to ensure that they regain public trust? So it just goes to show that internally, what seems to be a huge challenge now is the issue of factionalism, which I believe is part of the reason that has led the party to be where it is now. Because what's currently happening now is that there seems to be a huge disinterest in actually improving the lives of South Africans. But what's currently happening internally within the ANC is that there is a huge contest between certain groupings that want to actually get their hands into the resource machinery of the state without even having the interest of the livelihoods of South Africans. So I think that's where the crux of everything is.
They have it, Hlumelo Xaba, political analyst. Thank you so much for always giving your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And with that, we're going to take a quick break. News and Views continues after this.